This is me walking into a Hindu temple for the first time. Despite it being the world's third largest religion, all I knew about Hindus at this time was India, Gandhi, and they can't eat burgers. But I came up with 7 big questions. What happens at a Hindu temple? Are Christians gonna go to hell? Who do you guys think Jesus was? It actually got a little bit feisty.
I know it's hard to say it out loud because then your identity as a Christian starts to come into play.
I don't know enough about Christians to say they would go to hell or not.
Christians are right, or I've been living a lie my entire life. I woke up at 5 a.m. for the start of their service. This is before I go into the Hindu temple. Honestly, I don't know what to expect. Maybe a talk by someone. They probably speak Hindu. Let's go check it out. These are my first thoughts. We've got these different paintings, statues. Honestly, it was the exact same as a Christian church. That's a joke. It's very strange. I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to be disrespectful, but it's different. And the room just looks totally unlike any church I've been to. For one, I have to take my shoes off. 2, there were no chairs. And 3, people who came in and immediately bowed as soon as they entered into the place. I was also here because they were celebrating Krishna's birth, who they see as an incarnation of God. And today was basically the Hindu equivalent of Christmas, which explains why the temple was so packed and how I could interview so many people. Shout out to everyone who helped make this video. Another thing I noticed was that the room was split between men and women. Very different. And this led to the first of my 7 questions. Who do you guys think Jesus was?
We love and respect him.
Jesus is the Son of God.
He has like a God level influence.
God has implanted a part of himself into the soul to become a divine teacher. That's when we say it's empowered.
A representative of God.
I would, on a personal level, be prepared to genuflect to Jesus like someone who was divinely empowered.
So what they're saying is that Jesus was a divinely inspired teacher, not God as we as Christians understand it. But I wasn't really convinced because Jesus himself literally said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one goes to the Father except through me. And so later in this video, I'm going to confront them about this exact question. What about verses from the Bible where Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life? Then the service begins. It's chanting and dancing, and it slowly but surely gets louder and louder and louder. And the music, I'm not gonna lie, the music was banging. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but that's how I felt. The music was awesome. And I felt completely out of place. As a Christian, I believe Christ is king. And so I respectfully observed what was happening, but I didn't participate. And so they started some rituals, and then I asked them quick rapid fire questions. Like, how has this transformed your life?
The inner transformation is so powerful that your vibes, your aura.
Gotta have good aura.
You exude a certain aura that calls people into your presence.
What is that on your face?
I was hoping you'll ask. It tells me and others, I'm trying to be a devotee of God. I'm using this body, my words, my mind, to the best of my ability to be of service to God.
Have you guys personally seen any miracles in your own life?
I can definitively say yes. I was just misguided. I associated my life entirely with this body.
The transformation came from the standpoint of, it's not about you, it's about God.
And so I really respected that. But service resumes, and the curtain at the front pulled back, and behind it seemed to be the most important statue in the whole room. They were dressed in garlands, jewels, golden cloth. People bowed so low, their heads hit the floor. I later learned that this was Krishna, which they said was God incarnate in the world, and to whom this entire festival is devoted to. Then the priest, I don't know, I'm not too sure what his name would be. He goes up and he seems to be like sprinkling water or something on the statue and then onto the people. And so then this continues a bit more. Then they start doing it in a circle. But then part 1 seems to end. And then they start reading some sort of like scripture or some sort of writing. They had this sign that said like some sort of commandments. It seemed like they were reading that. So you had people reading that, people were bowing, it was silence. But then like a question that was like genuinely on my brain. But then what about hell? Are Christians gonna go to hell?
Our understanding is because God is very merciful, He provides unlimited opportunities that we willingly, lovingly turn towards Him. I don't know enough about Christians to say they would go to hell or not, but what I can say is there are certain laws that govern the behavior of human beings. God is not about externals. God sees your intentions. So if you act according to dharma, you go to higher realms in the universe. If you violate dharma, you go down the other levels of the universe.
And so to paraphrase, it seems like basically they believe that you have many opportunities to enter into heaven. And so for them, this idea that as Christians believe we have one life to decide whether we go to heaven or hell, actually to some of them, that was a little bit controversial. And so we talked about that.
Sometimes I have a difficulty that if God is ever loving, how come then someone is not getting another chance? Because once I made a choice, and that's one choice will punish me for the rest of eternity.
Gotcha.
Hard one for me.
Gotcha. No, I totally get where you're coming from. I'm not a professional theologian, but I tried my best to summarize Christianity's position, and this is what I said. God factors in circumstance or lack of knowledge of Him into whether you go to heaven or hell. And so I think that God gives us more than enough opportunities in our life. We have a choice to make. The Christian understanding is that this life is enough. God is loving. Love requires choice. And so if you don't want to be with God in this life, why would He force them to spend an eternity with Him in heaven? How do we know if we really go to heaven or hell? If we just keep on getting reincarnated, when does it end?
The idea is not how do I know. Idea is, well, nobody knows. It gives me the freedom to choose how I will behave. It also gives me the responsibility to take the consequences of it.
And so while we respectfully disagreed, the service resumes. And then everyone sat cross-legged with beads in hand, chanting someone's name over and over. I later learned they were chanting the names of Krishna. This was a meditative prayer designed to bring them closer to God. But overall, I was just thinking, if God is real, God would want to make it very obvious that He came down to earth. He would establish a church, reveal Himself through miracles and the witnesses of that church. And I believe that's very clearly in Christianity. So what would you say to all of that?
Have you ever been to India? Have you ever seen their architecture?
I've seen the Taj Mahal.
The Taj Mahal is
amazing.
Their articulation about God, their sophistication in music. The Sanskrit language itself is extremely sophisticated. They point to the Vedas, a divinely inspired scripture. So if that's what you're using as evidence for certainty, contemporary Hindus would have more than enough of that sort of evidence to feel certain about what they're doing.
Here's the thing. It kind of boils down to who was Jesus? Who is this man that created the world's largest religion? And what did He say about Himself? What about verses from the Bible where Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life?
Perfect. I love it. And I look at it and go, oh my gosh, that's proof that it's inclusive.
Jesus, He seemed to forgive sins as if He was God. So I think that it's pretty clear that He either was actually God or maybe He was just crazy.
I wouldn't say Jesus was crazy at all. I don't think so.
Okay. Glad we're on the same page.
If you look at where Jesus was born in the Middle East somewhere, right? And that time circumstance also led itself to a lot of paganism, right? So for Jesus to say that is absolutely appropriate. The only way to God was through Jesus at that time and circumstances, the way I would answer that.
The idea of a guru is not just somebody wearing some robe and teaching you something. It is a divine empowerment for them to bring wandering souls back on the path to God. Jesus saying, I'm the only path, is resonant with our teachings that to make a connection with God, we need what we call a via medium, an agent that introduces or connects the living being, the man, to God.
Basically, they believe Jesus, Krishna, and these other divine avatars are via mediums or ways to God. So when Jesus says He's the way, they don't disagree with that. They would say, yeah, He's another way to God. But I interpret His words as a Christian as saying that He is the way to God, full stop. And so while I can respect the devotion of Hindus, and I genuinely love all of them, I really can't put Jesus next to Krishna, Buddha, or any of these other names. Because honestly, He didn't give us that option. Jesus clearly said He was the way, the truth, and the life, and the 12 apostles literally died because they believed He was God. And also, one thing I can't help but notice is that these other religions, Hinduism included, they want to claim Jesus as their own. But I want to be in the religion that Jesus Himself claimed to be in, and that's Christianity. God bless you all. Check this out if you'd like to watch me go to a Muslim mosque for the first time, and have a nice day.